I was 21 years old.
I was 16.
I was 17.
I was actually 18.
I was 19 years old.
I was 23.
I was 26.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 14 years old and scared to death.
There's no way I can bring a child into this world.
I knew that my life, if I was pregnant, it was going to change forever.
First consequence was a big one.
I think my first gut instinct was, I don't deserve this.
I didn't want to admit that I was pregnant. Therefore I didn't admit that I was pregnant.
My life was kind of a glass picture at the moment. And then I told him what I told him, and it shattered.
That 10 minutes was like the longest 10 minutes of my life.
Being so upset that you couldn't grab onto any one emotion.
And I didn't know how to get out of feeling hopeless.
Just thinking to myself, crying, why me?
I literally curled up on the little hospital bed into a ball and said no about 1,000,000 times.
I had something growing inside of me that reminded me it was a direct consequence of things that I've done that I hated. And my family was ashamed. They were disgusted, I think, with me.
I felt a pressure from a lot of my peers at school as a parent.
He was basically forcing me into an abortion.
He dumped me.
I'm trying to make everyone happy and balance all these things.
I didn't feel 14 years old anymore. I definitely couldn't relate to my peers anymore. I felt a lot older than I really was.
They tried to kick me out of school. People weren't trying to be rude, they just didn't know what to say, so you'd walk by and people would stare and I wonder what she's doing, I wonder what she's thinking. But it was hard to face all my peers being pregnant, being, you know, the slut, per se.
My mom kicked me out of the house, and it happened to be Mother's Day of all days.
And I had to go and apply for welfare because I had no money and no support.
And I wanted to get my life back together, and it seemed like really impossible to do.
I was really nervous about what to do.
You have to admit it, and you have to make some decisions around it and make sure it's the right decision for you, and don't worry about what anyone else says.
I was scared because I knew that I had to make changes.
I didn't know what I would do, if I would keep it or put the baby up for adoption or have an abortion.
My first reaction at the time was abortion.
He wanted me to have an abortion.
First thought was, I need to have an abortion. I can't have a baby right now.
I also thought suicide.
I really considered abortion, actually, at first.
The more I thought about that, the more it hurt me.
Because with abortion, you never see that child, you never know them.
That was something that I couldn't do.
I was already 6 months along, so abortion wasn't an option for me at that point, so I felt really stuck.
This is my baby. I wanted him.
My biggest fear was that she wanted to keep the child.
I knew I wasn't prepared. I wasn't in any place to raise a child.
I can give her love. That's not nearly enough in this day.
And I just thought about how being a mother would have affected my life, and I knew I wanted to finish high school, and I knew I wanted to go to university, and I had all these dreams.
So I knew, I was settled in my mind that I'm not ready to be a mom.
I could have raised him, but he wouldn't be who he is today, and he wouldn't be as happy as he is today.
It gives you a gift as well as it gives your child a gift, and that gift for your child is life.
This is exactly why I made this decision, is because I loved you so much that I wanted better for you.
Because I made a choice that wasn't selfish.
Even though you know you are, you feel like you're not doing the right thing.
I had to make that decision based on what was best for me and based on what was best for my child.
I'm proud of my choice.
I don't think a lot of people know that there's open adoption, because I mean, I didn't.
I don't even remember an option. It was basically, this is what adoption was. It was closed, it was no contact.
After I was adopted, I never met my parents. And there's so many questions.
Here are these young women who have had contact with their child since day one, and I thought, I've got nothing.
Yeah, it was difficult because hearing the other moms who had open adoptions and who were able to communicate and interact and to celebrate birthdays and special times and to visit, that was difficult to hear.
Never got to hold them, never got to do any of that bonding that mothers get initially.
And I feel like I'm severed from what's going on in his life.
Even though I may not see this person, they're still in my thoughts.
Well, what would I do if I didn't know where in the world she was?
Without the choice of open adoption, I don't think I would have been able to place.
I want her to know where she came from and be able to access that information whenever she feels the need.
When I first heard about open adoption, I knew right away that's what I wanted.
I think just being around him and being a part of his life has brought me a lot of joy.
Visiting is, you just get that snapshot, and it's great to be able to do that.
Getting to see them smile, to talk on the phone, to hear their voice is such an amazing gift back.
It really affirms my decision.
All his letters are on my fridge, and I keep them there.
It's really been amazing to still be a part of her life and almost a small part of her new family, if you will.
He doesn't have to feel like I gave him up because I didn't want him.
I'm actually his tummy mummy, is what he calls me.
The adoption agency I found was more for the families and not for the birth mother.
The woman at the adoption agency gave me very little attention.
The adoption process on the whole was very positive from my perspective.
I had a great experience with all of the ladies at the adoption agency.
You have to choose the family that's going to be raising your child.
What do you want in an adoptive couple?
I was shown a bunch of profiles, a bunch of photo albums.
To flip through people's lives and see what they're like on paper, but not knowing if that's what they were truly like.
We were looking for caring, loving people that couldn't have a child of their own.
I picked out 2 families that I thought would be suitable, and it was mostly just because of their pictures. I like their pictures.
Whether, you want them to be religious, you want them to have pets, you want them to smoke, you want them to kind of look like your child, like what do you want?
But it's so hard to find the perfect match for parents that you want in a child.
I chose them because I think they're really good people. I chose them because I know that they will love my son like their own.
I met them, and they were exactly who they were on paper.
I felt so low about myself at the time. I didn't feel like I felt like they might reject my baby.
They were great people. They were even more nervous about meeting me than I was about meeting them.
The first meeting with the adoptive family was awkward. They were smiling at my grieving.
They were just really scared that I was going to change my mind.
There was no contact between us. They left everything up to me.
They were scared that I would bond too much with the baby.
And they don't think it should be a big part of my life, and it's a huge part every single day.
I gave the biggest thing to them. I gave them my son, and this is how they repay me.
I don't want to seem like I'm pushy because I don't want them to end up pushing me away later.
I was really lucky in the whole adoption process, especially with the parents.
The couple that adopted her are absolutely fantastic.
Communication is one of the biggest things that they could give their birth mom.
They're great friends, and they've done so well with my son.
I just felt that they could give my son everything I couldn't.
I could call right now and you could talk to her. That's awesome.
He's a great kid, and I love him, but I don't feel that mother-son relationship, and which is a good thing because we don't have that relationship, and if I still felt that way, it would be very hard for me to go see him.